It was a race against time for the Samuel family when they were told their 7-year-old daughter, Kate, needed a bone marrow transplant after being diagnosed with leukemia. Thankfully, a donor was found, and while Kate was recovering, a special letter arrived from the donor who saved her life. After writing to each other for 2 years, they met for the first time, marking the start of lifelong friendships for both families. Well, Kate, her mum Jane and donor James join us this morning, and I'm so pleased you're all here. It's so lovely to see you, Kate, and just so chuffed you're here to tell your story because it is a remarkable one. Kate, firstly, how are you? Are you doing well?
Good, thank you.
Enjoying your summer holidays?
Yes.
Yes. School kicking off in September again. Are you thinking about it already?
Not too much.
Good
no.
girl, that's the correct answer. It's still only early August. There's lots of fun to be had. Jane, if I can come to you first, as we say, Kate was just 5 years old when she started having regular nosebleeds and was feeling very tired. So, like any parent, you took her to the GP and it just wasn't the news you were expecting.
No, that's right. We thought she was a bit tired. It was the end of term. You expect them to be a bit tired. But no, we took her in. The GP was great. But yeah, we found out that evening that, yes, she had leukemia. Terrible
Shock for all of you. And straight away, Kate was sent into this daily intensive chemotherapy, which I can only imagine how gruesome that was and gruelling it was for not only Kate, but all of you as a family at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a year, basically, of a lot of chemotherapy, a lot of time in hospital, and particularly for Kate and her sister. She's got a twin sister, so it was being away from the family.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a long year.
The diagnosis was good at one point, though, Jane. You were told that, you know, things were looking up, she was on the mend, and then, sadly, the cancer returned.
Yes, it was after a year that we heard that the cancer had come back. I mean, the outcomes generally for ALA are quite good, but after a relapse, we knew that actually it was now more serious, and I think that was the hardest piece, really, knowing that we were going to have a lot more treatment, and the outcome was really uncertain.
And at that point, you knew a transplant was really the only hope of success.
Yes.
But then, of course, there's the trauma of finding a suitable donor. And you talk about Kate's twin sister, so you instantly think you look amongst the family for a donor. There must be someone there that can match. And even Kate's twin sister it didn't work for her.
No, there's a 1 in 4 chance that Anna could have been a match for Kate, but unfortunately, in this case, it wasn't. So that's when we needed to look for an external donor.
Yeah, a terrible time at that point because you really do feel you're watching clocks, aren't you? And
Absolutely,
just praying and wishing for the best. You did get the call that there was a donor that matched. This wonderful news that was just transformed Kate, transformed all of you, transformed your lives, and just a happy outcome to this very, very tough time. And we can thank you for that, of course, James, because this brings us to you. You give this wonderful gift of life, and you were on the donor list since the age of 23.
That's right, yeah.
And so you always saw this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to help someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was a no-brainer. Why would you not be on the list?
And so you went ahead, you knew that you hopefully had, helped this wonderful family, this beautiful little girl, but you wanted more than that. You wanted to check up on her. You wanted to see how they were doing. So how did you approach it?
So originally, I was in 2 minds of whether to, and then I decided, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, just to reach out, and there's a 2-year period of anonymity to protect both the patient and the donor. And so we contacted the charity who was supporting us was Anti-Nolan. And I basically contacted them directly, and they passed the message on through to Jane and family.
And what was it like to receive that letter, Jane?
Well, we've been going through quite a tough time because actually the recovery period, after the bone marrow transplant was going on. So I must admit, I hadn't really thought so much about the donor, but we'd always discussed it as a family and knew that we really wanted to reach out and say thank you and to meet them. So receiving that first letter was amazing, actually. It was September, I think, and, it had been a tough year. So then to have this wonderful letter and the way James had written it was just beautiful. It really cheered us up.
Yes, because you actually wrote to Jane and to Kate as well, didn't you? It was like an individual one for just Kate.
Yes, it was, again, because it's anonymous, the only things you do know is the gender and if they're an adult or a child. So I knew that it
That's
was...
quite difficult then, because
Very,
you're
very
kind of wanting to
difficult.
pour your heart out to them, aren't you? And
Exactly.
send a lot of love.
Yes. Yeah, and you need to make the message as personal as you can, but of course keeping as much personal information out as possible. So,
But the letters started to go back and forth, thankfully, and this beautiful sort of friendship has now blossomed. I mean, there have been family picnics together.
Yeah.
You and your partner Leslie have been to your wedding recently,
Yes,
James.
yes.
It's a proper friendship at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's a start of a lifelong friendship.
Yeah.
And strangely, it feels a bit more like an extended family. You know you're probably always going to be friends because there's such a strong bond, particularly between, well, James and Kate share blood. I mean...
yes, completely. And I know you had a little girl who was sort of similar age to Kate at the time, didn't you?
That's right,
James,
yes.
and that really resonates with you then too, doesn't it? You think, I'll do anything for my child, and I'd love for someone else to do the same if you were in the position that Jane and Leslie were.
Completely right. For me, I would have done the donation regardless of who the recipient was, but the fact that I found out that it was a child and I found out it was a female, it almost became my daughter at the time, and so it made it that much more close to home.
How were you at your recovery? Like, what did it involve for you exactly, James?
So my recovery was I had some minor discomfort after the procedure. I was slightly anemic for a couple of days, but I put my feet up for a week or so, and then 4 weeks later I moved house and was lugging boxes about.
So hugely manageable,
yes,
and yet you give a gift of life to someone. I mean, anyone listening at home that wants to do what you do, just do it.
Yes,
do
absolutely.
it.
There's for me, there's no reason why you can't, as long as it's safe for you. Then do it.
Well, James, you're wonderful, and I'm saying thank you almost on your behalf, because I know you've said your thanks already, James, but it's great to see you, Kate, honestly, just doing so well, and we're sending all your love to your sister as well, and of course the entire family. Thank you so much for coming in.